In this video I want to discuss some concepts from Jacques Derrida's of grammatology. This was translated by Guy Spivak. First of all, I'm not going to be doing like a part-by-part discussion of this book because I think Chad African, who has his channel, he does a lot of really good stuff over there on his channel. He has done a pretty good it's pretty much his part by part discussion of this book, and he has quite a few videos on this book, I think. But I just want to discuss a few concepts and an overriding thing that's going on in here, and maybe kind of just discuss this and how this relates to the idea of logocentrism and metaphysics of presence, and the entirety of deconstruction as a whole. In this video, I would like to discuss what's going on in this book. This book is basically a toolbox for deconstruction of basically of theories and of language, and of literature mostly. I think because there are deconstructionist followers of Derrida, some who base their things on philosophy, and some who do it within the realms of literature. And you have John D. Caputo, J. Hillis Miller, Paul Lemon, Harold Bloom, and others. So here I would just like to discuss what goes on in this book in terms of speech, writing, and how he goes against the structuralism of Ferdinand de Saussure and Claude Levi-Strauss. And also talk about what he calls arche-writing. First of all, we have Jean-Jacques Rousseau in his discourse on inequality, and actually, I have a paper which I'll be speaking at a conference about this, because I gave it to a conference at Creighton here, and I'm going to be speaking about that paper. And a lot of this has to do with what's in that paper. In Rousseau's discourse on inequality, he has the idea that speech is a representative of writing, and writing supplements speech, but primarily that writing is what is primary. Writing is what, and then we have Saussure and we have Claude Levi-Strauss, who have structural linguistics and are themselves structuralists. So Saussure has the idea that speech is primary, that speech is what supplements writing, and that speech is the primary thing. And this is all with respect that they are talking about this logos, and the word logos is how we get the term from Derrida, logocentrism. And logocentrism is a fault in philosophy, according to Derrida, of their of like a defect in their philosophy of their going after a certain logos or truth under everything else. Also, logos was related to the term transcendental signified, which in linguistics, especially if you read Saussure's course in general linguistics, you have a referent. Let's say we're talking about the book. You have a referent. The referent is the actual object. Then we have a signifier, which is, if I write down the word book, the word book is the transcendental, or is the not the transcendental, but the is the signifier. I'm sorry, I cannot talk again. It is the signifier, and there is always somehow a signified, but they call it a transcendental signified because you don't always have an undergirding truth or meaning that is given by what is the signifier. So what Rousseau and Saussure and Levi-Strauss are doing is they are having some kind of theory as to whether speech or writing reveals more of the truth, or undergirding meaning, the undergirding transcendental signified. And that's basically what they're saying. They're saying that there's some kind of undergirding truth or meaning or signified, and that is applied also to philosophy. That example I give in there is that deconstruction is basically, according to Christopher Norris, who has books about Derrida, deconstruction is basically a breakdown of conceptual opposites, to where we have, for example, the mind-body problem, to where we have a materialist over here who says that the mind, the body, and everything is nothing but, walking zombie. It's just meat, and that's really all it is. Just like mechanical stuff going on, and there's no soul, there's no anything there. Over here we have a dualist, which says that there's a given people like Descartes and Leibniz, who are like, oh well, it's mind and body, and the mind or the soul is separate, and in here, somewhere in here, there's something separate from it, which is not extended, except for Leibniz says that there's nothing that is extended. The thing here is that, given the materialist versus the dualist, the materialist is saying, well, the truth is that blah blah blah, and the dualist will be saying that, well, the real truth is, against him, blah blah. They both are of the position that there's a certain truth, and they are arguing as to what that truth is. They are arguing for a certain truth or a certain meaning, a certain thing there, and a logos-centric philosophy goes against people like that, who are conceptually binary opposites, and the goal of a deconstructive method, if you want to call it that, is the breakdown of that. Is the breakdown of that conceptual opposition, to where neither side is going to be pointing to there being a logos or a presence anywhere. And logocentrism is also related to a metaphysics of presence, to where, like, we had Plato's forms and Hegel's absolutes, Leibniz's monads, and so on and so forth. All these people who are saying that there's presence in a certain place. For instance, Plato says that there's presence in the abstract heavens. There are the forms there. And Derrida saying in many of his writings, including of grammatology, that is wrong. Saying that there's presence somewhere, that there's logos or truth or meaning somewhere underneath or somewhere else, is wrong. And logocentrism and, well, deconstruction, I mean, is the breakdown of all of that, to where we have a interplay of differences. And a lot of what he says in this book is pointing against the logos that Saussure and Rousseau are giving. They're saying that, oh, there's logos or meaning here, or that the speech, or that speech is giving the most truth, or writing is giving the most truth. And then he, one really very, very important thing that he gives is the idea of arche-writing. There's a different term for it, but arche-writing is basically writing that is free from this conceptual opposition between whether speech or writing reveals more of the transcendental signified. It's a writing that is going to accommodate the interplay of differences between speech and writing, between any other concept in philosophy or literature or whatever else. It's going to accommodate that. And Derrida does this in his book, Dissemination, including his essay called Plato's Pharmacy, which I have on the shelf over there. Plato's Pharmacy, he uses the term pharmakon or pharmacia, which has a ton of meanings, and it can be thought of to have one certain meaning, but it has many different meanings. It means cure, it means poison, it means a plethora of other different things. The word différence in the word that has the A in it, and difference and deferral also have differing meanings, because that's the whole concept of difference. And arche-writing, I think what he does arche-writing in his essay Plato's Pharmacy, because it's it's not lending to any it's not lending its whole life to moving towards saying that there's truth or presence in any certain place, but it's accommodating the interplay, not free play, because in the essay in this book, Différence, the word play is given in it, and that's often translated from the French word jeu into free play, but it's not free play, it's just play. It's an interplay of differences between this upon this breakdown of conceptual binary opposition. And that applies to philosophy, and it applies to literature as well. So let's say you're reading a book by Vonnegut, and you are differing with someone else as to what he's saying means, and he says he thinks Vonnegut's novel Hocus Pocus means one thing, and you think his novel Hocus Pocus means another. Then you're back in it. You're back in that conceptual opposition, but the arche-writing that he has in his deconstruction in here allows for you for in literature to never solidify any kind of meaning or any kind of logos or any kind of transcendental signified, and to where everybody who's in this discussion understands that. I'm gonna try to make more videos about Derrida's concepts. I mean, I think that there are other people out there on YouTube who have videos that are better than mine, because it's kind of difficult to actually explain. And then there are people such as Chad African who explain it better than I do. Yeah, and then I had a comment on my video, a different video about Derrida, who was talking about the temporalizing and spacing of difference in deferral, and I'm gonna try to make a video on that and such. Yeah, if you have any questions, or if you think I've explained something wrongly, then please say so. The comments, I definitely read those. And I definitely like to discuss this with you.